Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to our first science lesson, learning from home. Now, what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be starting to do the experiment that we were going to do at school, but we didn't have time, obviously. But now we get a chance to do it at home with your parents instead, so maybe that's even better. Now, you all will have got this booklet for my science stuff, and you notice at the back of this booklet there was an envelope. Okay, now in that envelope was a bunch of beans. Okay, now the beans are broad beans. They look like this, and you should have 1 inch. And we're going to be planting this and actually watching how it germinates and how it grows. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do this, but before you can, there's something you need to do. We can't plant these until we soak them. Now, they need to soak at least overnight. So I'm going to send out a message a day early. Hopefully, you've already soaked your beans. But if you haven't, you can't do this yet. You've got to put this just in a jar of water and soak it overnight. Now, soaking these beans activates them. It wakes them up and tells them that it's time to start growing. So we need to let it soak all night. And then the next day, we can actually get this started. So if you've already soaked yours, you can use your bean now and with me. But if you haven't, you need to soak it and then do this experiment either in the afternoon, give it a good 8 to 12 hours, or even tomorrow. Do it then if you need to. But anyways, we're going to use these ones that I've already soaked and show you what to do next. Now, to get started, Amelia, I'm going to get your help with this. Okay? Now, there's a few things you'll need. First of all, you'll need to get your soaked beans out. So can you get those beans out there for me, Amelia? Now, you're also going to need a cup. I've got plastic cups, but you can just use a glass cup at home if your mum and dad let you. You just need a cup that is really see-through. It has to be very clear because we want to watch this bean growing. Okay? All right, so I've just got one for Amelia and one for me. We'll give it a try. You've got our beans out. Excellent. Okay. Now, there's one for you, one for me. Now, what you need after that is just some paper towels. Now, if you don't have paper towels, you can even just use tissues or even toilet paper if you need to. But just anything like this that'll soak up a little bit of water will be just fine. Okay? So I'm going to give one to you, Amelia, and one to me. Now, what I like to do with one this big is I actually fold it in half. Okay? Fold it in half. And then I'm going to just wrap it around my fingers a little bit. Okay? Yeah, not too tight. Got to leave it. I'm putting 2 fingers in there. I need to leave a hole in the middle, big hole. Try again. Just wrap it around a couple of fingers. Yeah, that's a couple of fingers. Even your hand. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now once you've got this wrapped around a few times, it's actually going to slide into your cup and make like a wall all the way around the edge. Okay, and then spread it out a bit if you can. And so this cup is lined with the paper towel, and there's a big hole in the middle. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, the reason we do this is so that we'll be able to see the bean growing as clearly as possible. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so once you've got your cup, a nice clear cup, and you put your paper towel out around it, or tissues, or whatever you have, we'll get another one. This one you just scrunch up. Now, scrunch it up a bit, not too hard, just medium. And put it down the middle of the hole. There we go. Let's get another one. Another one for you. Now, you don't want to really squish it tight or anything. Just loose, just gentle. It's just to hold this all nice and steady. Okay. Actually, I've only used 2, and that's enough. But Amelia squished hers down quite far, so she probably needs another one. I only need that one. Just put one more in yours, Amelia. Don't need to squish it too tight. Crunch it up. And just gently put it at the top here. Yeah, and that'll just hold this all out. All right. Now, once we've got our cups with our paper towels all in there, now's our bean. You've got your bean. Okay. Now, this bean is actually going to go in the side. So you just get your finger and you wiggle your finger down the side of the cup. Okay, so maybe just make a little hole for your finger first, Amelia, or you can push it down a bit further if you want. Yeah. All right, and then I'm just going to drop my seed down there and push it down. Okay, now we are purposely putting our seed at the side of the cup because when it starts to germinate, which means when it first starts to grow, we'll actually be able to see everything that's happening as it grows. Now, what we do next is we will need to water it. See, this isn't quite down far enough. Let's get it down a little bit further. All right. Now, this next step is important. We need to water the bean. You've soaked it all night, so it will start to grow, but we have to be careful not to let it be too dry and not let it be too wet. It has to be just medium. So I find the best way to do that is actually with a spoon. For example, if you were to just pour some water in there, you'd get too much in and it would just wreck it. And every year we have some students who water their bean too much and the whole bean goes moldy and it starts to turn a weird color and it dies. And look, that is probably going to happen again. Fully expect a lot of your beans aren't going to grow, but as long as some of ours grow, we'll share pictures so everybody can see. All right, now what I like to do is just put a couple of spoonfuls of water on it. So I just get a spoonful of water.
How many spoons?
And then let's start with one. Yep, need a bit more.
Just put it in the middle?
Yeah, just tip it in. Okay. I want it to get a bit wet down to the bean. This first one is going to take a little while. See, I can see the water starting to get down. 3 spoons. Let's get a bit of down the edge there. Okay. Down that way. Need a bit of extra water this time because this one is our very first time watering it. It's all very dry.
I just did 3.
Okay. Now, what did I do? Did I do 3 or 4?
I think 4.
Maybe I did 4.
4 is.
All right. But what I can see is the tissue is all wet. It's all wet right down to the bottom. And I don't have water pooling in the bottom. We don't really want water to be sitting in the bottom of the cup. If ever you put in so much water that you can see water at the bottom, it means you've got too much in there. And it's going to get too moldy. Okay? But I've got a bit of water in there. And now all we need to do is put this somewhere. And wait. And it will grow. Okay? It's going to take a while. In fact, we have a little journal we're going to be keeping of what it looks like as it grows. Now, you need to give this bean water each day. I would suggest giving it 1 or 2 spoons of water just to keep the paper a bit wet, but you don't want it to get soaking. Okay? Just keep it a bit wet and it will go. So tomorrow, we'll give it another couple of spoons of water. Now, once you've got your bean ready, you just need to put it aside and wait. And every week we'll draw another picture of it and see what it looks like. This week we have to start though. Now you've all got this working from home booklet that I showed you before. I've got a big version here. And the very first page of this is where we're going to be drawing our broadband. Now, this is week 5, okay? Because, I know it's your first week at home learning. This is actually the 5th week of the term. And we're going to draw our broadband here, how it is now, which is just a bean in a cup. Okay? And next week, we'll draw it again and see if anything's changed. Then next week, we'll draw it again and then draw it again. And each week, we'll see it grow more and more, hopefully. Now, if yours doesn't grow, don't worry. I'll put a picture of one up that is growing. And if mine doesn't grow, I'll get someone who's send a picture to me of theirs growing. But we'll make it work. Don't worry. Now, this drawing can't be just a regular old drawing. It has to be a labeled diagram. Now, we did do some labeled diagrams. They were a bit like this flower that you guys did. We had to do detailed, careful drawings. Okay? Now, these detailed, careful drawings are going to be accurate and careful. So I will start with the top of my cup. Okay, and I'll come down. Okay, now Sorry, boys and girls, my video cut out, but don't worry, I'll keep going. I actually drew some of this diagram while you guys weren't watching, but I'll show you what I did anyways. I actually drew the cup, I drew the tissue, I drew the bean, and I labeled them. They must be labeled. These aren't just pictures, they are scientific diagrams. And each week we're going to draw this bean again and watch it as it grows. Okay? Now, that's the only thing you need to do for this lesson, guys. You just need to set up your experiment, draw your scientific diagram, and then next week I'll have a different activity. But every week you'll be drawing the picture and doing another activity. So we've got a easing into it.
How many weeks do you think it would for it to grow?
Well, we're going to start to see some of them grow by next week, but probably only a little bit. Some of them might not grow until week 7. Okay, depends how well we activate them. Now, for example, if someone doesn't soak their bean long enough, if they only soak it for an hour or 2, then it'll probably take longer because when we soak it, it makes this outer shell softer, and then the bean can sprout easier. Yeah, so we'll see. Boys and girls, as you go, if you start getting some sprouts, feel free to take a picture and send it in to me if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll see you again next week with the next set of activities. Thanks a lot, boys and girls. See you later.